Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Cancel This. Go to canceltheshow.com. You can check out all of our original content on our live AM podcast. Of course, broadcasting live out of the St. Louis area, all across America with listeners all across this great country that we have. I'm Vic Faust with Tabitha Hassel, Eric Johnson, and Scott Gherkin. Can't wait to do this real estate interview that we have now, but we have a full hour of interviews coming up. We are on a tight schedule, and it's one of my favorite people, Kathy Helbig. I love it when Kathy shows up because everybody gets informed. We get educated and we feel better about ourselves. We feel like we could go out and own the real estate world, or at least something like that. We welcome in Kathy Helbig, owner of Experienced Real Estate Partners.
Yes.
Of 314-276-SOLD. By the way, 314-276-SOLD. Kathy, welcome to the studios. We're so glad you're joining us right now. 2023. Here we go. What is, first of all, right out of the gate, you look great in our studio, by the way.
Thank you.
We're so happy you're here.
Wearing your blue.
We love the blue. That's right. Blue, black, and white to silver is what we got. Okay. Kathy, out of the gate, 2023. What are you seeing right now to start us in and break the ice?
We're actually starting to see traction again.
Uh-oh.
Yes. So things are changing. The roller coaster ride is going back up. We've seen buyers come out in a little bit in December, really. We had a pretty strong December. That's not unusual depending on our weather here. If we get really cold weather, then sometimes we have a slowdown. But this year with the rates the way they were and the way it slowed down in the fall, we weren't sure what to expect to finish out the fourth quarter. But December was pretty strong. I think buyers are getting to the point where they're starting to get used to the sticker shock of the rates going back up.
Don't say that. Oh, no.
They are a little bit. They're coming back out. We're seeing some multiple offers again. So that's why I'm saying we're on the cart ride back up the roller coaster, I feel, as we go into spring.
Is there a trade-off? Is the price of the house have to come down to offset the interest on the house? You know what I mean? It's like last year it was 2.8, and the houses were really extended as far as the pricing goes. Now it's 6 point something. Does that offset itself somehow?
Well, it seemed to be last year. That's what slowed everything down. So then that's what pushed sellers to do some price reduction. So I just took a peek today, a really quick peek a couple of minutes ago. There was as many price reductions in the last 7 days as there were new listings that came on the market.
Wow.
So almost 400. So 400 new listings in the general area. I mean, we could expand that, but I'm talking about the general St. Louis market.
Yeah.
Had 400 new listings come on the market and like 360 price reductions.
Yeah.
So yes, that did make a difference. That did propel some buyers to get back into the market. But really one of the big tools that helped, because we were locked up there for a couple of months. It really took a quick slowdown.
Yeah.
And sellers were starting to get nervous that they missed the market. Buyers were getting hopeful, which is great because we did see a window of sellers having to reduce their price, coming on maybe at a little bit better marketable price, and then lasting a little bit longer in the market. So when that happens, then buyers have the ability to negotiate.
Okay.
So we started seeing appraisals come back into play. Inspections are all back on the contracts now. So we started to get it back to a normal.
Yeah.
Really, it wasn't a bad market. It was just balancing and getting back to a normal market.
That's so interesting to me. My family, we're in the process right now, not in this state, because if we were in the state, we would be using you, Kathy Helbig. But in other states, we have property we're selling and property we are buying. And I've noticed the market is different than what it would have been a year ago.
Correct.
It's really wild.
So, and that wasn't a bad thing because it was getting a little nuts with, the average person couldn't compete.
Absolutely.
Do you feel like you're competing with the narrative coming out of the government? It's all because I was like doom and gloom. It's like inflation way the heck up. And then you have Powell coming out and he's like, interest rates are going to shoot through the roof.
Yes.
And if you're sitting there on your couch and you're watching this, do you think that some of it could have been people just are shocked by what they're hearing, 100%. Not so much by the money?
100%. The headlines of just the interest rates alone, scared people off the market. And the thing is a lot of people don't understand that every time the Fed raises the rate doesn't mean that the mortgage rate goes up.
Okay.
So I've been on this press junket all fall long.
Because it is very confusing.
It is very confusing. It was confusing for me, in the industry. So it really took me going behind the scenes of the mortgage business and getting my mortgage license before some of that really started sinking in, even after I've been in the business this long.
Is there a formulation, a calculation? Because it seems like the Fed, what have they raised it 3 points, 3 full points?
Yes.
But the mortgage rates have risen like 4 or 5 points. So is there a calculation that you can make?
I don't think there's an exact correlation to it, but to go back to the difference of why the headlines were scaring people is that when you hear the feds are raising rates, they're talking about the benchmark rate and they're talking about the short term, like the ARMs. So the ARMs were affected.
Okay.
Credit card rates were affected.
Yes.
Overnight money.
Yes.
Car loans, those type of things.
Yep.
But sometimes, and I don't know the formula if there is one, sometimes, and it happened a couple of times this year, when the Fed raises the rate, the mortgage rate drops.
That's interesting. I would have
what?
So
I would
figure
have
that
never thought that. Kathy, are
Yes.
you seeing a lot of corporations competing with home buyers, your average
Yes.
home buyer? Because
Yes.
we know these corporations, they are going above and beyond to buy properties, to turn them
Amen.
into
Mhm.
investment properties. And it's very concerning to me because I see these corporations buying homes, throwing them out there on the market and then letting them sit there. They're collecting these application fees. And
Mhm.
is it a challenge for you in this business right now?
It's
Yeah.
a national question too.
Yes.
We're a St. Louis audience. You're an expert
Correct.
here, but
Yeah.
you know what's going on around the
Yeah.
country.
Absolutely.
Wherever there was affordable housing is where the hedge funds came.
Yeah.
So the institutional buyers, I saw it pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
They started, we actually worked with a group that came into town, was buying properties. They started with, hey, we want to buy 20 properties.
Mhm.
Okay, that's where they started. And this again was pre-pandemic. So
Yep.
they were coming in and making offers above list before we were really seeing that. So this was
They were ahead of the game.
they were ahead of the game. And so, as a seller, you're looking at, I've got a buyer that doesn't have to go through the loan process.
Yeah.
So I don't have to sit here
Mhm.
and wait for 30 days and holding my breath, hoping the buyer gets their loan.
Yeah.
They're coming in saying, we don't need an appraisal because we're not getting loans. And we're experts enough to walk through and know if we think the house is worth it or not. So you don't have the appraisal contingency, which is where all that started. See these hedge fund
Mhm.
buyers
Yeah.
coming in, taking those things off. And then the inspection was the next thing. We're not going to do an official inspection. We're going to walk our contractors, our people that work
Mhm.
for us
Yeah.
through. They're going to look at the big stuff.
Yeah.
They're going to decide renovation cost. And then if we need to adjust our offer at that
Yeah.
point, we will. But there's not these long drawn out 10 days to do inspections, 10 days to negotiate, like all these things that scare a seller.
Yeah.
Because a seller truly doesn't know for sure that they have their house sold until you've checked all those contingencies off the box.
And for you it
contract.
works because you're a realtor, but for society it doesn't work at all because you have these guys that are inflating the prices of these houses,
Right.
Exactly.
and then it's deflating maybe the community. It's like
Exactly.
there's a rental down there and there's another rental there. Now your property value has just I mean, this is a
And it
bad
was
thing.
And I said that, like when it first started, I was like, oh, I kind of got like we're representing some of them coming in.
Yeah.
But then I have this check of it's kind of like when Zillow came to the market.
Yeah.
And everybody, all the agents,
Right.
like, oh, let's advertise on Zillow because that's where the audience is. And it's like, man, we're like lambs to the slaughter here over time. And I kind of started feeling that myself.
And you're not doing anything wrong as the real estate
No,
broker,
because
as the real estate agent.
the
That's your
rub.
job. Is
The
you're
rub is
selling real estate.
if I'm representing the seller,
Right.
what's best for my seller? My
That's
seller's
right.
got an offer that's coming
It
in.
seems
from-
like there needs to be a law made. I'm sorry. It just
I
sounds
agree,
to me like
but-
there needs to be laws
Yeah.
because what it
there
does.
won't be any laws though.
But here's what it
No.
does. Here's what it does. It makes rental prices go up.
Well,
it-
exactly.
Because if I want to rent that house over there,
Yes.
it's not $1,500 like it used to be in the old. That's a
Correct.
$2,700 rental now.
Rent rates were rising faster than home. prices.
Exactly.
Boom.
Now you
It's
got
happening.
to pray to be able to
But-
buy a house that hasn't been already bought
That's
by these
exactly the
these
problem.
predatory
So here's
people.
the other piece of it that I started saying. We kept saying all of this, all of the home inflation was due to supply and demand. Okay, and the supply and demand goes all the way back to the original
Correct.
home crisis in
Mhm.
2008
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
when home builders went belly up. They stopped building.
Right.
They were bringing on, I think it was like 10 million less homes a decade. I forget my numbers. It's been a while since I've talked about this topic, but way deficit for 10 years
Yeah.
of bringing houses onto the market. So that's what's really started the supply and demand thing. So we started feeling that. And then we saw the buyer's market, seller's market flip. Then the institutional buyers were coming in and they're beating out all of the regular buyers because they don't have these contingencies. They're coming in higher. So it sounds great for the market, raising prices of the neighborhood. So on the other side, hey, I'm a regular person selling a house and now my neighbor just sold for what? Now my house is worth like. So that was a benefit. Okay. But then I started thinking, wait a minute, you know, these people that are buying these houses, the institutional buyers, the majority of them, not all of them, but the majority of them were buying to hold.
Yes.
And their plan is like a 10-year plan. So now I'm thinking, how in the heck is that going to help our inventory crisis?
That's right.
When none of these houses are going to turn over in 3 to 7 years like they typically do, a typical buying and selling cycle, 3 to 7 years, they're back on the market. They've raised, you know, maybe 15%. The next buyers come in. So that's when I started really getting concerned about our market.
We're talking with Kathy Helbig, Strick of Experience Real Estate Partners. By the way, you can get in contact with Kathy at 314-276-SOLD. That's 314-276-SOLD. Kathy, you're in the St. Louis area.
Yes.
I'm curious, and of course, we're talking to people all across the country. What trends are you seeing in the St. Louis area? I get it all the time. What's happening in this area, that area? And it's something we always like to talk to you about. And if you see something happening across the country right now in a certain market.
You know, as far as trends, you talk about buying and selling trends. You're talking about, So trends are, started seeing more days on the market. We're starting to see sellers having to prepare their house for sale. So that
Is
this the same in all areas too? Whether it's Chesterfield, St. Charles, St. Louis, Jefferson County.
And there's always pockets of St. Louis that are hotter than others, and St. Charles. There's pockets all over. So the hotter your area is, the more you can get away with as a seller. But when we went into the frenzied market of the last 18 months, it was to the point where, I mean, you barely had to clean your house to get 20 offers on it. And so that was unusual for me because I came through a market. I came through the first crash. We had to get people, basically, I spent 6 months pre-listing time for years helping sellers get their house prepared for the market, bringing in their painters, picking their flooring out, getting their wallpaper down, bringing in stagers and doing all of that to make it perfect so that we could sell it within 30 days, close to list price. I mean, that was the norm until all this frenzy happened. So that's the trend that I'm seeing come back, is that now the expectation when the buyers really slowed down in the fall, now they're coming out and going, I don't know if I want to pay 7 or 8% for this house when it needs a new carpet and new wallpaper down, or, you know. So that's a big trend that we're seeing. And I have something.
Well, then the question is, here's a question then. We just talked about BlackRock buying everything on the planet or whatever it is. What's the antidote to getting rid of these predatory buyers, just buying building way more inventory? Because nobody wants to live in an apartment at $2,500. They want to buy a house, but they don't want to compete with these guys. Is there a point where these predatory
And is it fair to call them predatory?
They are predatory. Come on.
Or is it just people are going to say it's investors.
It's predatory. It's predatory because they know what they're doing. The mortgage on that house normally would have been $1,700. Now it's $2,700, and they're never getting rid of it. So you can't. What is your advice to someone that says, I want to buy a house, I want to get there before the price goes way out of whack? What's your advice to them? Or is it like, you're just screwed, you're just going to have to get in the game?
No, and this was something that I was saying, there was a plan that people put into place last year when the rates went up that really has been beneficial for a buyer. So there's this timing, and now we're going to be getting into the spring market. So we're going to see more houses come on. We're already seeing people come back out and buying. So we're getting some houses with multiple offers. Some are not. But the trick was getting buyers off the fence before it gets into the heat of the market again. And if you're sitting on the fence because of the rate, you can use a 2-1 buy down product. And so what that is you're going in and saying, I'm going to ask the seller, instead of negotiating on the price 100%, if he's been sitting on the market, maybe you can do both, right? But a brand new listing, let's say you go in and say, hey, I'll buy your house for X if you buy my rate down for the first 2 years. So that's making the difference in the payment for the first 2 years of 2%, then 1% on the second year. So you go into the third year before you adjust up to the full rate of what the market is right now. And in the meantime, they are predicting that rates will stabilize.
And you go and refinance it.
And then you go refinance it before.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So that came into play this fall when the market went because of 8% interest rates. We started coming out and going, all right, we have a solution for you, because now the sellers are not having 30 people down their street in line waiting to buy the house. So they're more amenable to doing some negotiations of maybe providing this credit to you so that they can sell their house and you can get in and not feel like you bought at the worst time of the market for rates.
Now, Kathy, I have a question for you. We see it. We see a lot of people moving from St. Louis City and even St. Louis County now out here to St. Charles County or here to Chesterfield Valley, Wildwood, etc. How does that affect the real estate market? Because you're having people leave their homes in the city, in the county, and they're coming here and saturating the St. Charles market. Is that something you see as trending?
Yes, but there's always people moving
back and forth
as well, and moving back and forth, divorces, all kinds of things that keep people moving. But yes, we are starting to see less and less affordable housing because St. Charles used to be the go-to.
Right.
So the gap is closing a little bit, but I also saw that happen after the 2008 crash too, because you used to be able to.
Well, predict. Where's the new go-to? Where's the new
go-to? We have
go-to?
a question from the Facebook
farther
line.
out.
Farther
as far as you can go.
As far as you
Forest
can go,
Hill?
the better prices you're going to get. Yes.
Wow, that's way out there.
Hey, drive to Columbia, Missouri.
There you go.
Columbia, Missouri.
You know what?
There's
The
houses
home
going
builders
up.
just went there. I know Lombardo Home just launched there, so they watch for those.
Does it come with a
types of trends.
helicopter pad? Because that's the only way I'd move out there.
Right.
Kathy, question from the Facebook line. Are you seeing more mortgage buy downs? And I know your husband, Steve Strick, who's an expert in mortgage. We've had him on before. What are you seeing? What's that?
Yeah, that's
good
the
question.
2-1 buy down, kind of what we're talking
That's
about.
what it was.
Are people paying a point
Yeah.
to get their rate down? And yes, 100%. That's what's happening. Right
Totally makes sense. Let me
Yes.
ask you this. You might just look at me like, man, just shut up. I'm not.
That's how Tabitha looks at you.
I'm not.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I get that every day. I'm so used to it. There's this thing called a barn dominium. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
What the hell?
See, she just laughed at me.
I love no idea
Okay.
what
All
that
right.
is.
I am so into this idea. I'm
Have
so
I been in
into.
one? No. Do I know what it is?
So what it is
A
is
barn
like.
dominium.
Okay, let me explain it.
No,
to
I
you.
just want to make sure people hear the word barn dominium.
Dominium.
Okay.
Okay, so here's what it is. I think it is because I've seen some of these plans. Do you know what this is? Okay, it's basically a big metal shed that they build for you for like $30,000, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then you go and you lay your concrete and you lay your pipe for all the plumbing and all this stuff. Yeah. I want to do that so bad.
The barn house.
Yeah,
it's
I want to do it.
Shed, but
it looks like a mansion.
Yeah.
Hold on. Who cares? At that point, you take the house. Yeah. But you lay the foundation. But the good news is that you're really only looking for land, correct?
Yes.
Is that too elementary in thinking? Because I'm like, just get a plot of land, go get yourself a she
land
shed.
That allows barndominiums and she sheds to go up.
Do you guys have a service?
I actually had a seller that they moved to Florida, and she reached out to me recently, and they want to come back, which is kind of crazy because I've had several clients move to Florida and come back.
No,
it's
really
weird. Yeah. So I'm like, what's happening there?
Okay.
But yeah. So she called and she's like, we want a tiny house. Can you help us find a tiny house or build a tiny house?
Yeah.
On land. We want a lot of land. And I was like, never done a tiny house before. So sure, that could be fun. Let's do it. But then the criteria was I want to be in Chesterfield, Wildwood. And I'm like, that's not going to happen.
No tiny houses in those areas.
Houses with HOAs.
Okay.
And then you have to deal with septic tanks or you have to, and that can be very expensive.
Well, let her get to the, let her get to
Yeah.
the question. Is that possible? Do you have if someone walks in your office and they go, I really want to do this project.
Yeah.
I don't need a McBride and Sons. I just need somebody to give me the plans and do this whole thing myself. All I need is the land. Let's say in Weldon Springs. I don't even know where there's land available for something like that.
Yeah.
Is it something that you guys can help with? And is it cost effective?
Well, yes and no. We can help with the land parts. We can help with anything. Like you can hire us by the hour. You can hire us for the project.
Yeah.
You know, is anybody going to be super experienced? That there might be some agents that deal in the outskirts and the land that have done one or two. I don't think there's anybody that I know of that's a huge market for them, nor is it a big money maker market. because
But
you're
it's
looking at the
penny-
price. But
Yeah.
it is doable.
Yeah.
As long as you're buying land in an unrestricted area that
Yeah.
doesn't have subdivision requirements.
You should do it, Vic.
for
You could
the
look like
property.
you live in a mansion, and it really is just.
If I did that, it wouldn't be any cheaper. By the end of it, somehow, some
You
way,
bougie.
Exactly.
it would be like 2 or 3 times the cost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me
Exactly.
too.
You can't have the water feature. Come
Yes.
on, man.
And what about a big
want
strong
a lot of
wind
mirrors.
comes through?
A lot of mirrors
Yeah.
and crystal.
Yeah.
So
Look at the
real
art in this
quickly, I
place.
want to go back to before we run out of time.
Yeah.
You know, when I was saying the trend is sellers having to fix their houses up now. We actually just brought a product to town that we partnered with, and it's a fix now, pay later option with no fees, no interest
Wow.
for sellers.
That's amazing.
It is amazing.
Do you have to
So I've
qualify
been-
for this at a
yes,
certain?
you have to have a certain amount of equity in your house. There's not a cap on how much you can spend. That's across the board because there's one other, they call it like a listing concierge service. So there's one other brokerage and that offers a concierge service, but it's really just like the financing for it. They don't do the project management, and there's like a cap of $45,000. This program that we got involved with, the cap depends on what your equity is.
Okay.
That's,
So
you can
I
fix now,
love
pay
that.
later.
Fix now, pay
That's
later, no
fascinating.
fees, no interest. Now,
Can
it's-
people? Wait, can
and
people
they do-
call you to
yes,
find out more? But once
yes,
again,
yeah, ask
fix
us
now,
about
pay later.
Revivify. That's our name for it. Revivify.
Revivify
Yes.
314-276 sold 314-276
And it
sold.
can be as little as, house cleanings and paint to major renovations, as long as we're not building out or up.
So I-
past the
can I-
footprint.
Can I clarify a little bit? Because I just want to make sure people understand. As an example, my family, we have a 2-flat downtown St. Louis that we're getting ready to sell.
Yep.
It's almost completely paid for. So someone like that, you could come out.
Yep.
It would be based on the equity you've already paid into
Yep.
your home. And that way you're not paying out of pocket to do all of these repairs.
Mhm.
And then hopefully when you sell your home,
Yep.
you're going to recoup those costs
Correct.
to pay them back.
Correct.
And you're
So
going to get
that's the
more
idea.
money.
So what happens is we go out, we do a market analysis of the house, we find out what the equity is, and then we do an after repair value analysis, and then we report and say, here's what we think they can get if they do the following things, and then that's how they base.
I love that. That
That's how
may
they
be
base it on.
that might be the best thing I've ever heard.
I know
ever
that's why I didn't
coming
want to miss it today.
to the real estate market.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
That is
So,
fascinating.
Yeah, we've got a house under project right now. We had one we started last month, and then they ended up selling it before we could get into it. But yeah, because what happens sometimes is sellers are faced with, they don't want to come out of pocket with money to put into it when they're uncertain what it's going to sell for anyway. Because let's face it, no one knows what a house is going to sell
Right.
for exactly
Right.
until you put it on the market,
Yep.
and a buyer determines that. So, but the problem is if you don't do certain things, you're devaluing your house so much more
Yeah.
usually than if you would just pay to do those things.
Yeah.
But it's a really tough rub for sellers to go, man, I'm selling my house and now you want me, I've lived in it like this for 15 years. Now you want
Yeah.
me to fix it up?
Yeah.
But I've seen it. I've been through it in the first market that crashed. When you get to a point where there's not 30 people waiting, you need to be the diamond, not
Yeah.
the diamond in the rough.
Right.
This
Right.
this isn't an easy industry, is it?
No.
I still know you have the passion
No,
for
when
this
people
to
say
do
they
what you
think we're
do.
overpaid, I want to strangle them. I've
Oh.
literally spent the last 4
That's
days of
Eric.
a 7-day
No, I'm just
vacation
kidding.
dealing with stuff at home of a fire that you just can't go. "Sorry,
While
I'm
you're on vacation."
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
so many of my friends are real estate agents, and I'll tell you what, it is a 24/7.
is.
It's a lifestyle
It is
more than
and,
it is a
and
job.
Every deal is different. Every deal has twists. And
There's no
you're-
drama in
yeah.
real estate either, right?
Oh, so much drama.
But it's
Well, there's so
fun.
many
Is it
emotions.
fun?
It's fun, and I'm a fixer. So even though I'm like, my stomach's in knots over this stuff for the last few days, I'm literally like, I'm going to figure it
Yeah.
out. I'm fixing this
Yeah.
problem.
But
We're
you're-
gonna
you're
make it
so-
happen.
And you're so knowledgeable that you make it easy. I've known several people that work for you, and
Yeah.
they say you make it easy. That makes all the difference in the
I
world.
try. I mean, when you've been around doing it 25 years, you have more things that go wrong that you learn from, because that's really how you learn. And there's still stuff like,
Well, you're the queen of real estate in the
Still
St.
new
Louis
things.
area.
That's
You've certainly
right.
set the
Thank
standard.
you.
Everybody knows Kathy Helbig, that's for sure.
thank
Now
you.
Kathy Helbig Strick.
Yeah.
You're going to be joining us more frequently on
Yes.
Wednesdays. We can't be more excited to have you. Hopefully you had fun.
I love it.
This is a great
I
setting
love
for
talking
you.
real estate.
Well, there's so many. Vic
Yeah.
always shoos me. He's like, stop asking so many damn
'Cause we're
questions.
Just because we
I
gotta
could
get
get
it.
I could go another 25
I know,
rounds
exactly.
with you. I got so many damn questions.
All
It's
right.
unbelievable.
And that's why leave them wanting more, Eric. Leave them
I
wanting
don't
more.
want to. I got questions.
Next Wednesday.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
Kathy Helbig Shrink. Once again, you can get in contact with Kathy at 314-276-SOLD, 314-276-SOLD, Experienced Real Estate Partners. Kathy, we love you. Thank you again so much. I know
Thank you
you're
so
racing
much.
off. Have an awesome day.
Yes, excited to be here. Thank you.
All right, Kathy Helbig Strict.
That's
Once again,
awesome.
we learn